Can a Christian be a pacifist? I was asked this question by somebody who I suspect of pacifism. So they're probably not going to like this video very much. I used to be a pacifist, a semi-pacifist, I guess you could say, being reared a Jehovah's Witness, because they're pretty much pacifist. You can't even own a gun. But I do not believe that anymore, and I don't believe that's what the Bible teaches. There are certain examples that one can use in supporting a pacifist doctrine, but I don't think can be supported by the Bible, not by investigation. A lot of people use examples like the incident in the Garden of Gethsemane, where Peter strikes the ear off the Roman soldier, and Jesus says, "Put your sword back. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword." And people point to that and they say, "Oh, but see, Jesus said," well, but Jesus didn't say not to use the sword. He said, "Put the sword back. Am I not to drink from the cup that the Father has given me?" Which actually was a cup of God's wrath. So he knew that he had to be a sacrifice, an innocent sacrifice, as a lamb to the slaughter, says the scripture in Isaiah. So he knew that in that situation, he couldn't use self-defense. He who lives by the sword should die by the sword. Yes, this is true. He who lives by the sword will most likely die by the sword. As a natural consequence of living by the sword, how can you not die by the sword? Especially if you're, and you're in the Roman army. Chances are very good that you're going to die by the sword. If you live by the sword, which is what living by the sword means. I have my notes up here. Jesus told Pontius Pilate that he could, if he wanted to petition 12 legions of angels to defend him, which was an option. See, it could have been a legitimate option. So that shows us that that's not out of the question, at least for Jesus or for God. The Old Testament explains that. That gives you a glimpse into the mind of God, and He is nothing but not a pacifist, anything but a pacifist. So that's natural result. Again, no condemnation. Jesus didn't condemn self-defense. But God, see, I want to clear something up. But God is always just in His dealings. I just want to include that before I move on. It's not the same for us. So Jesus didn't condemn the taking up the sword. Romans, see, this is interesting too. When the Roman soldiers came to John the Baptist to get baptized, what did John the Baptist say? Did he say, you have to leave the army? No, he didn't say that. He said, just make sure you don't extort anybody. Treat people justly. He didn't say don't kill anybody. So that wasn't an hindrance to their baptism. See, if any place in Scripture was the opportunity uh, to uh, teach pacifism in the Bible. If there was any opportunity, that would have been it. Uh, but again, it's very conspicuous, the absence of any of that subject. Um, but doesn't Jesus say turn the other cheek? Yes, he does. He says turn the other cheek. But how many cheeks do you have? See, and then you don't have any more cheeks left. See, you only have two cheeks. Um, so you run out of cheeks. Uh, that's the point. You run out of cheeks, and you can love your enemy and still defend yourself from your enemy. See, you don't have to hate your enemy because love. See, love is it's an attitude. You can defend yourself, especially if if your family is threatened. I asked somebody one time who's a pacifist, a Christian pacifist, and I asked him, well, what if a robber came into your house, and he, sorry, I should have worn a shirt, and he threatened your family? Would you not defend your family? And he said, no, I would pray. Well, and that's fine, you should pray, but you're also not to put God to the test, see, and not expect something from Him that you yourself are fully capable of doing. So that you can still comply with that commandment to love your enemy and to turn the other cheek. And you can still love and defend yourself. There's a lot of other examples we can use, but for the sake of brevity, I don't want to have this video too long because we all have short attention spans, don't we? God is no pacifist. See? So the assertion of self-defense is not incompatible with Christian doctrine. It's according to your conscience. Look, we have liberty. According to our own conscience sake. And instinctual, look, you could take it to natural law. And notice that instinctually we do defend ourselves. If you were attacked, your instinct would be to defend yourself, and that's the way that God designed us to do that, to defend ourselves. See, so you'd have to really try harder to not defend yourself. So we don't want to second guess God and how He designed us. So listen, it's a non-salvational subject. It's deserving of debate. This is just a fine point, so we can chat about it on the comments. But don't get mad at me, see? Because I've been unfriended before and blocked, because of this topic and other topics too. Non-salvational. You're not going to lose your salvation. It's not a topic. Well, you know what I mean. So chill out. We can have a discussion, rational discussion, about this. Oh yeah, Jesus actually said to buy swords, did he not? In Luke 22:36, he said, uh, "Those who have not a sword, go sell your cloak and buy one." You know, and then they said, "Oh, look, we have two." And Jesus said, "Enough." Now, there's different ways to interpret that scripture, but I think that that would be a very plausible. See, you always want to interpret scripture literally, if at all possible, unless the immediate context doesn't support that rendering. Unless it indicates otherwise. You always want to rightly divide the word of truth. See, compare scripture and scripture, and derive an accurate, contextual interpretation from that. So I believe that's it. I'm sure that I forgot some things, but that's the gist of it. So let me know what you think. All right. Shalom. I'll talk.